Alright guys, I know it's been a while since I put up a video, and the reason for that is I've kind of been tossing around a few different ideas on where I want to take this channel and what kind of content I want to produce. Now I'm still going to be doing the business stuff, marketing, making money online, SEO, social media, that kind of stuff. But I'm also going to be focusing a lot more on recovery, on the 12 steps of recovery, and kind of the struggle that I'm having, trying to get my freelance career back on track, trying to start this digital marketing agency that I've been working on, or wanting to work on, for the last 2 years, and I haven't really done anything, obviously. But and the reason for this is I was talking to a friend of mine at one of the meetings, and I was telling him about all the issues I'm having, all the problems I'm having with trying to balance sobriety and work. And the more I thought about it, I thought there's got to be a lot more people in the same situation that are dealing with staying sober, dealing with recovery, and trying to get a business going and get their career back on track, freelancing. So I'm going to be focusing a lot more on recovery going forward. So which brings us to this book. It's called Recovery by Russell Brand, and it's a great book. And it's essentially the he talks about the 12 steps of recovery. He is he's been sober for, I think, 14 or 15 years, and he's been very open about his heroin addiction and alcoholism, his codependent relationships throughout his life. And I wanted to do a whole series on this book because I think it's really helpful, and it's helped me a lot. So after each of the steps, each step is a chapter in the book. So after each step, he has exercises, writing exercises afterwards. So I'm in the middle of the step 6 exercises because I just finished my 5th step Saturday. So one of the things that he talks about is the cycle of addiction. I think it's important to know how all this came about, how my addictive behavior started. And there's a 5-step, he says there's 5-step guide to the cycle of addiction. So that's what I want to get into today. So number 1 is, of course, pain. And we all have this pain inside, whether it be psychic or emotional, and many times physical pain, right? And for me, a lot of it has been psychic and emotional pain. I mean, I've talked openly about my mental health issues, my depression, and all of us who are addicts, alcoholics, whatever you want to call it, even people who aren't, we're all dealing with some kind of pain. So that's the start of the cycle of addiction. Second step is using an addictive agent like alcohol, food, sex, work, dependent relationships, something I know very much about, to soothe and distract. So when I started drinking really heavily, it was a way to just deaden that pain, not feel anything, and just to feel better at times. I'd get that high, and I would feel like, I could do all this stuff. And in my mind, I was, envisioning myself as a great writer, a successful businessman, whatever. And it allowed me to, kind of experience that feeling of being successful without actually having to put the work in. Right now, obviously, when I sobered up the next day, all my problems were still there. But for the brief moment, that alcohol or that relationship really lessened the pain. It was, like it says, an anesthetic. Number 3 is, of course, what I just talked about, temporary anesthesia or distraction. So, like I said, I was drunk. I didn't care about my problems. I was, dreaming about a better future and didn't care what was going on in real life, So, yeah. And then step 4 is, of course, consequences, usually negative, in my case anyway. So, like I said, I would not think about my problems, whether they be financial or in relationships or physical, whatever it was. When I was drunk, I didn't care. But after I sobered up, there were consequences because I either, neglected to do something, missed a deadline, spent money I shouldn't have spent. That was most of it, most of the time. And, I had to deal with those consequences. Or, I was mean to somebody, or I embarrassed myself somehow. There was all these consequences that I had to deal with after, whatever bout of drinking I happened to be going through at the time. And of course, that leads to the 5th step, which is shame and guilt, leading to pain or low self-esteem. So the cycle starts all over again. So yeah, there are plenty of times when I've woken up after being really, really drunk and like immediately reached for my phone, like, who did I text last night? Or what did I say to him? And then sometimes seeing those texts and going, oh, Jesus Christ, what was I thinking? Why the hell did I do that? Or getting into like teary, arguments with somebody, or, pouring my heart out to, my girlfriend at the time, or whoever it was, and, saying like, you don't understand me, or, and all that. And I was ashamed of the actions, of what I did while I was drunk. And it did lead to guilt, and it did lead to, low self-esteem and more pain. And then I decided, well, I might as well drink again. So that is, I'm sure anybody who's been addicted on any level to anything can identify with those 5 steps. So real quick again, they are step 1, pain. Step 2, using an addictive agent to soothe and distract. Number 3, temporary anesthesia or distraction. 4, consequences. 5, shame and guilt, leading to more pain or low self-esteem. And then the cycle starts all over again. So, yeah, like I said, it's good to know how all this stuff came about, how I really became an addict. And that's the blueprint, for addiction. So it's important to recognize our actions, our habits, and using the 12 steps, I think, will definitely help. It's helping me so far. Again, I'm not perfect. I've had slips. You know that. I should have like 7 or 8 months of sobriety now. I have 15 days. And a relationship that's in tatters. I don't know if I can save it. I don't know if she wants it to be saved. But I know one thing, that if I don't get better, if I don't become a better person, that there's no way me and Jennifer have a chance, or anybody else in my future. I can't. And what do I have to offer, really? So I'm going to be doing a whole series on this book, Recovery by Russell Brand. I think it's a great book. Again, I think it'll help a lot of people. I'll put a link in the description below so you can pick up a copy of your own. I have an ebook, a Kindle copy on my phone. I checked this one out from the library, so I can do these videos, kind of have a prop. But it's a really good book. Again, link in the description below. Yeah, you know what to do, man. Like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel. There's going to be a lot of good content coming forward. Pick up your copy of this book, and see you tomorrow.